everybody, and welcome to The Poll, the show where we talk about the comics that have come out each week. So as always, I am joined by Joel. He's over
Hello,
there.
hello.
Hey, and I'm Tiffany. And yeah, we're going to talk about some comics. This week's probably a little later, just because we scheduled a guest. Unfortunately, they canceled. We're not going to say who because no hard feelings. We'll have them on again at another point in time. But
Yeah.
So, we're still gonna do the show. We almost weren't. We are. So we're here. So let's just do it. Just go. Joel, Captain America, Steve Rogers.
Yes, so man, this was an embarrassment of riches of Captain America books this week. We had Secret Empire, which we'll be talking about later in the show. We had the Sam book, and we had the Steve book, and they essentially all tell one big long story, which
Right.
kind of makes it a little hard to follow. I will say right now, without trying to spoil content for future in the show, this Steve book takes place after the events of Secret Empire #7, is what happens. This is him dealing
Oh.
with the fallout. Yeah.
Oh. That's
Tiff's like,
that's got to be a little confusing for people.
it's true, although I think Nick Spencer pretty much assumes that if you're reading the Cap books now, you're reading Secret Empire.
Right, right. But let's just say, for example, you pick that up first. You're like, I'm gonna wait on Secret Empire. I'm gonna recap first. Does it not spoil anything?
It's funny. It's one of those things. I knew that's the way it was supposed to go because I read Secret first. If you didn't, I think it still kind of works. Oh, hello, Mr. Giggles. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Girls, for the super chat. He says, yes, the Tiff and Joel show is back. Thank you so much. We're glad to be welcomed by you guys. Really appreciate it.
It works, but not nearly as well, because the whole idea of this issue is that Steve it had a bit of an epiphany in Secret Empire, and that is he has that moment that I'm sure all movie Nazis have, and that is, hey, are we the bad guys? I think I might be the bad guy.
Whoa, 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 guys. Did you know that people think we're the bad guys?
That's literally his moment in this, where it's like he's like, Rick is dead. All my other friends are either dead or trying to kill me right now. I don't know if this taking over the world thing was worth it.
Right?
I don't know if it was. And he goes to Thor and he's like, well, surely my buddy Thor will be able to tell me, to tell me I'm good, to be able to boost my ego. Thor is just plastered in the Hydra canteen right now, just drinking himself to death.
Right, wait, wouldn't that take a lot?
Oh, he's going for it. He's going there.
Oh, okay. No one else has any alcohol, because there isn't any left.
No, he is drinking this totalitarian dictatorship for all it's worth. And he's just like, Steve, sit and drink with me. I don't want to feel horrible alone. And Steve's like, nah, I got a big press conference I got to do. I got to declare war on everybody. And drunk Thor's like, yeah, I remember back in the day, my buddy Steve, we'd have some brewskis all the time, celebrate our Avengers victories. Sometimes we'd drink just because it was Thursday, the day that was named after me. But you changed, man. And all the while, Steve keeps calling Thor Thor. But drunk Thor's like, that's not my name anymore.
Yeah.
I'm Odinson. There was a Thor. Her name is Jane, and you took her from me. Give her back, you son of a bitch.
Right.
And again, Steve, completely just playing the total bully, turns it on him and goes, I know you're not Thor, because if you were, you'd be able to raise that hammer. It's been sitting out there on the White House lawn for like a year now. I know you walk by it, Odin's son, but you never want to pick it up because you're afraid you might not be worthy. So don't you condescend to me, is the thing. And just a lot of bad feels.
So Steve's basically like, am I a bad guy? Hey, you know what? I'm just going to act like a bad guy right now.
That's literally what it is. And then he talks to Sharon, his love interest, now prisoner,
Yep.
who is in Rick Jones's cell. It's like, Sharon, am I a bad guy? And she's like, well, you've locked me up, and you're a dictator, and also you've seemingly thrown away your classic Captain America costume and are wearing like the Hydra Reich thing with the armband and the chains and everything. It's pretty safe to assume you're a bad guy.
Yeah, like pretty much if you went to like Wikipedia and you looked at bad guy right now, it's your face. You and a few others from history.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to be there too now. I'm sorry.
Most deaf. And it's funny because he starts the issue like kind of being sad, or at least I think it's being sad. There's an image that's going around that's already becoming something of a meme. The less than great art is trying to show him like choking back the tears, but he just looks like he's really constipated. It's not a good image. It's supposed to be this powerful moment of like, is this worth it? Am I doing the right thing? But it's more like, oh God, why?
Well, I look forward to looking that up because I haven't seen that, so that's awesome.
Again, I see what you were going for, artist. You were trying to go for sadness, but you got really satisfying BM.
Well, that's an emotion.
It surely is. So yeah, I mean, the whole issue basically ends with him being like, if I'm the bad guy, I'm gonna be the bad guy then, and it starts with him, or ends with him rallying the Hydra forces, for what will surely be the final push
Right.
of
Well, it would have been the final push, maybe, but
were he not constipated.
yeah. Also, because they keep adding issues, so
we're 7 of 10 now, so we're almost there. If they don't add anything extra on, because
Right.
we had two back to back in 2 weeks, which was pretty interesting.
Yeah, clearly they were like, oh no. Like, to me, that indicates that they need to hit a deadline. Like, that last issue has to come out, and that's gonna, you know what I mean? And then they're like, okay, we're done with that. Except the
Yeah.
Omega issue, and then it's like, I guess it doesn't matter.
The chat has something funny there. Oh, why God, I haven't pooped since I became evil. It's true, evil makes you constipated. That's a well-known scientific fact.
It's good to know. Like, you want to think about that before you go down that path. They don't usually put that in the like reading material that they hand out, but it's like, it's just look it up.
I read it in a book once called Science.
Yeah. Exactly. All right, so Captain America Steve Rogers. Kind of an important book if you're reading Secret Empire, obviously.
Yes, I
I'm not
would
reading
say
it though. It's all I have Jill.
I would say between this and Secret Empire and Sam, which we will talk about later, they Nick Spencer actually did a pretty good job being like, hey, evil Captain America is still a character first and foremost, and we will develop him and we will crawl inside his head and we will see what makes him tick.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad they're doing that because that kind of slowed down in the last little bit of Secret Empire. He kind of became just like, nah, I am mustache twirling villain man.
Right. Yeah, it's true. So
This week they remembered he was a character and they actually gave him some stuff to chew on.
well, that's very nice. All right, so that's that. There you go. That's what's going on in Captain America's world. Now, look, that's no Black Panther like being awesome and amazing, but hey, that's fine.
No, it's true.
By the way, those talking in the chat about Saga, please don't spoil it for me. Almost every other comic I have, I buy through Comixology, except for Saga, which requires me to go to my brick and mortar store and pick it up, and I don't get to go every Wednesday or before this show. Between work and getting here to do the show, so I haven't read it yet. So you'll hear about it on Twitter from me, but don't shush about that right now. But anyway, right now we're gonna go over to Action Comics, where
Yeah, I agree. That's my general thought on this finale as well.
So like, kind of interesting. So like, remember last time in Action Comics where like Superman and his friends like epically whizzed it like in
They
record
sure
time.
did.
Like they were just like, "Hey guys," and we're in the Phantom Zone, all except of course for Supergirl. And
Who
Superboy.
apparently just finished an arc in her own comic where she was in the Phantom Zone,
Yeah.
so maybe that's why they
It's
didn't want to
literally
send her
they're like,
back.
we can't put her back in there because that's just embarrassing. But of course we get to find out what is going on with Zod's plan here, because Zod has had a plan essentially from the moment he was broken out, which is like, I guess he kind of formulated it really quickly because
Really quickly.
really quickly, because I don't think he had any inkling that Cyborg Superman was going to attempt to do what Cyborg Superman was attempting to do.
It's true. He basically usurps him as the villain right here at the end and takes away a story that was supposed to be all about Henshaw and makes it all about him, which is admittly very Zod.
That is like the most Zod it could be, like in a way where I'm just like, yeah, right, that's why you're such a jerk. But but anyway, essentially, we go into the Phantom Zone where apparently going into the Phantom Zone and losing your corporeal body it's like the best way I guess I can describe this is the transporters in Star Trek essentially
Yes.
can filter out diseases. So when you're brought on board, it can help to like pull anything out that you might have picked up on the planet, right? That's kind of what happens here when they go from being physical beings into being into the Phantom Zone. It cures his blindness.
I thought that was a total technobabble ass pull, is what I thought
Right?
that was.
There was a moment where I was like, "Wait a minute. So now that you know this, you're gonna try to find a way to use that to cure cancer, right? Because this sounds like this could just cure cancer."
Yeah. Yeah, but you'd have to go to the Phantom Zone to get it done, and no one wants to go there.
Well, you know what? Some people might. It might be worth it to them. You don't even know. Um,
Can I say too, we were both correct when it came to our speculations. You were 100% on the money about Jonathan hiding in the battle armor.
yeah.
And I was 100% correct about Ursa and Lil Zod.
Right? So, basically everyone's in the Phantom Zone, including Eradicator and Cyborg Superman. Cyborg Superman's like, I can't believe that. He's still trying to justify it, which is spectacular. He's like, I can't believe this happened. And he's just like, clearly, Zod needs someone of my capabilities here to find his armies. And that's just what it is. Eradicator's like, dude, can you, like, shut up for, like, 5 seconds? Because I gotta tell you, on the other side, Blanc is trying to keep a telepathic link that Zod is forcing him to keep, which is, like, killing him, essentially. It's incredibly painful. It's kind of understandable. But Eradicator's trying to pull his weight, and he's the one who's really on a mission. He is the R2-D2 of this whole thing. He has the true mission. He's going to, like, get the plans of the Death Star into Luke's hands. Here we go. And Cyborg Superman's just C-3PO. And when you get down to it, yeah, he kind of is. Without the protocol. On the outside world, Zod immediately, like, is just like, yeah, no, I'm in charge. And I gotta give Metallo credit. He's like, hey, Cyborg Superman gave me, like, a new body.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of am not cool that you know, went ahead and did that to him. And he's just like, yeah, here's what I think about that. Backhand punch.
To think he'd be the one guy, Corbin would be the dude to stick to his guns and remain loyal. Maybe it's a robot thing. Maybe it's a cyborg thing.
Maybe it is. And then even Mongol's like, hey, yeah, no, I gotta tell you, it's not cool. And Zod's all like, hey, man, you want like a war world, right? Like, come on. And he's like, I do, I really do. And he's like amping them all up. And then he just like uppercuts him into space. Space uppercuts him. And Mongol's just kind of floating there like, yeah, I'll be back.
You'll see. You'll all see.
Yes, it's coming. Just
Maybe I'll go give Green Lantern a hard time while I'm out in space.
Yeah, maybe I'll go like beat up some old ladies and then like feel real good and then come back. It's gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. So anyway, essentially, yes, Eradicator is there to find Zod's family. Dun dun dun. Zod has very much what Clark has, essentially, except, you know, Zod...
Evil.
Yeah, but yeah, also, Zod also has Ursa, who has powers, and Lois Lane has Pulitzer Prizes. So, it just kind of all, you know, depends on how you want to look at it. But not before a fight breaks out, because Zod is, like, planning on killing Supergirl, I guess. Like, and again, probably because she was just in the Phantom Zone in her own book, they didn't want to put her back there, so they had to come up with something to do with her here. Which, of course, gives, you know, John the opportunity to use the Kryptonian battle armor to distract and fight Zod, but not without the help of a mysterious voice.
With green captions.
Right, which I gotta tell you immediately, I was like, oh, it's Brainiac.
Oh, shit, that would have been fun.
It's Brainiac. Because especially when he's just like, I know Kryptonian battle armor. I'm like, Brainiac would know Kryptonian battle armor.
We haven't seen Brainiac in a little bit, ever since, like, the DCU redone. I'm sure when Brainiac comes back, it's going to be a big deal. Right? But no, it's someone else.
Yeah, it was something else. But trust me, I was just like, oh my god, yeah, it's crazy. Like, Brainiac knows that, like, Kal-El had a son. That's awesome. But anyway, with the help of the voice and the armor, he helps to take down Zod for a little bit. Supergirl then also returns. Inevitably, though, Zod once again gets the upper hand, strips the Kryptonian battle armor from John, and it's just like, oh, you didn't die. But that's okay. That's when, like, the Phantom Zone opens up, and Ursa and their son and Eradicator show up, and they're like, hey, we're here. And, like, Zod is wounded.
Yeah.
And, Superman's also there, I should say, because there's a whole fight going on in there. But, Superman's also there, and Ursa's like, hey, this is not the time and the place for us to have our family, like, you know, rejoining, and for you to meet your son, because I guess presumably Zod has never met his son.
Yeah.
Which is bizarre,
Because
because
wasn't he already in the Phantom Zone?
right, but also because of the fact that if he hasn't met his son, and Clark makes sure, or Superman, I just call him that interchangeably, mentions that people don't age
In the
in the
Phantom Zone,
Phantom
yeah.
Zone, and yet this is a young boy who comes out.
Is it one of those wibbly wobbly timey wimey things?
Right, I don't know necessarily what they're getting at there necessarily.
Neither do I.
But regardless, we see like this cracked mirror version of what Superman currently has in his life with his
Yes,
family, which is kind of interesting, and I look forward to seeing something done with that.
it's clever.
It is kind of clever. Also, of course, Zod and Ursa got together. Those two are made for each other.
Yeah, they're the only two other evil Kryptonians with matching parts that we know of to create
Right?
kids.
Yeah. Yeah. What was the other guy's name? I never can remember.
Non.
Yeah, they're like, not you.
And he was just like a big dumb brute guy who didn't speak. Although apparently he wasn't always that way. Apparently he was actually super smart in old canons. But
Well,
then like he got like a space lobotomy that made him all dumb.
right, well, not anymore. So they take off, they leave, and they're like, yeah, like a day or two tops, we'll have taken over this whole place. We got this. It's no problem. Fine.
Which were we supposed to know what that planet was? I was waiting. I'm like, is there a little box that says planet so and so?
No,
It
I
looks
didn't
somewhat
catch
familiar.
that either. It also almost was like, I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. But it's kind of cool looking. Like, that's neat. Like, so they're going to have like their own thing going on there. Maybe Mongol will show up there, get his ass kicked, and he'll leave
They're
again.
they're teasing what is it a world of new Krypton again.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So anyway, they reopen the Phantom Zone because they're like, shouldn't we go after them? And like Superman's like, we really got to get our friends out of the Phantom Zone because it's
Yeah,
not fun
maybe
in there.
we should do that.
Yeah, so they get everybody out, but they leave Cyborg Superman in there, which is like funny because it's like I totally get Superman's decision to do that, but at the same time, I'm like, you just proved that you're a jerk, and that's all he's gonna remember.
Sorry, Cyborg Dick, back into the Phantom Zone with you.
Not you, not this time.
I
But
mean,
none of-
I guess he is the only one who no prison could hold. They could lock Blanc up. He's just a normal person. Mongol's out in space. Metallo you can put in jail.
Yep. But not Cyborg Superman. And Eradicator's off with the, the evil super family.
Which is funny. Does that make him the Crypto, the super dog of
Yes.
the Zod family?
Yeah,
Whereas,
it's
like,
either that or he's the Kryptonian battle armor. It could go either way. It's fine.
man, to think he was such an individualistic villain when this whole thing started, like he had his own arc devoted to him. Now it's like, oh, I love you, Zod. I loved you so much. Let me follow around
He's
after
essentially
you.
he's just like, you're like the ultimate Kryptonian. Oh.
Basically, yeah.
But anyway, none of this matters because what the big thing is that who is the voice? Well, it was Mr. Oz himself.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, he's keeping an eye on all of the super people.
Yeah,
And
for some reason.
talking about super things, Ryan Radford in Super Chat says, so what is the Scott Lobdell thing? Which I think is a fair place to have this question be. I'm going to give you a chance to answer that in just 1 second. This ended this arc. It was a fun arc. It was like the other side to Superman where it's just a lot of like action and punching and craziness, and it's kind of setting up some cool things to come. So there you go. Now, what's with the Scott Lobdell thing?
Scott Lobdell hates me and I hate him. It's a long-held story from even back when I worked at the other outfit. A dude, he was doing a signing at a guy's store, and the guy who owned the store was a fan of me, and he knows how much I didn't like his Titans run, and he was going to get him to, like, sign a book as a joke, only when he dropped my name around Lobdell. Lobdell was like, no, not for that guy. And this was a signing for money, by the way. He hated me so much he wouldn't take money.
Yeah, there you go. Not a fan of Joel.
No, not at all.
Fan. That's okay.
No.
Joel doesn't care for him either, so it all works
That's
out in
fine.
the end. Isn't that
We're
funny
nice
how
and
that
even.
works?
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's part of the Scott Lobdell story. I'm sure at some point Joel will go into more crazy detail for that, but for now we gotta hold on to that because we're gonna talk about All-Star Batman number 12. We haven't had All-Star
Yes.
on this channel for quite some time.
No, the last time we didn't have an episode was an All-Star Batman week.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is on these weeks we don't have shows and that book corresponding. It's not a coincidence. It's just kind of funny.
Don't tell Scott Snyder that.
Yeah, don't. So yes, this is the continuation of the Nemesis Project storyline, where we get to see flashbacks to Alfred's early days, and we see that he was actually attempted to be recruited for a special MI5 program, which would essentially create a Dark Knight. It's a project that has its roots all the way back to medieval England when they would create the Black Knight to essentially fight against Queen and country, but in reality actually be loyal to Queen and country to kind of help the crown and the monarchy manipulate stuff, and they keep that alive and well now. It's weird. I like the idea of giving Alfred more of a backstory. I like the idea of building him up as a badass. I don't like the idea of building him up as saying that he spent some time as a weird proto-Batman.
Right. That's interesting that he would do that. It seems like Snyder has this fascination with giving father-style figures in Batman's life the opportunity to be Batman in a way. See Jim Gordon being Batman for a little bit.
That's true. That is true. You got him there. I mean, that's really the bulk of the issue. Batman also pulls off a highly impractical escape, which is something to say for Batman comics, where he MacGyvers his way out of shit all the time. He was on a sinking submarine, but he knew that the torpedoes on the submarine were sound activated, so he tied his unbreakable bat cables to the torpedoes, then told Alfred, who was up in the sky, to yell really loud as to attract the torpedoes and pull the submarine out of the water.
All right.
And it works because he's Batman, so of course it works.
Yeah, exactly. So.
And I mean.
Oh no, go ahead.
I was gonna say, and I mean that's basically it. There's some stuff with Hush and the other gang lords who we found out. It's like, oh, you thought it was a double cross, but it was actually a triple cross hidden inside a double cross.
Is that like I don't want to even do the math on that one. Okay. So basically, it's my understanding that this series is eventually coming to an end. Is that correct?
Yes, in the next couple issues or so.
Okay. So is this a story they're going to wrap up and then maybe have an ending issue that's just kind of like, and that's the end of All-Star Batman? Or is this going to be something where they kind of have to race to the finish line?
I think the next issue of this 13 will be the end of the Nemesis project, and then I think they get a couple more, either one or two more issues. I will stall for time while I look into that, because I don't want to sound stupid, because I had a bad...
stupid. I was just wondering, because I know it's ending, and, it depends, because a lot of focus for Snyder right now is on this whole, dark universe that's kind of being built up, this metal universe. So, it's always interesting to see for me, these passion projects for people like All-Star. Definitely. Or the All-Star line in general, will it get the attention that was built up towards it at its end?
Actually, hey, here's one for you. All-Star Batman number 13, it actually gets pushed back 3 weeks. That just came across just now, 8 hours ago.
Oh, so... yeah, it sounds like he's not as focused on that, so... yeah.
No, I guess not. Maybe it's an art thing. I will say the art is real pretty and real stylistic. It's, who did the art for this one? It was Sebastian Fulmera and Rafael Alberniqua, I think.
Oh, wait, Albuquerque, or...
yeah, maybe that's maybe Joel can't read. Maybe
no,
the
it's
professional...
fine. The only reason I questioned that was because he worked with Snyder on All-American Vampire, or American Vampire, whatever it's called.
Yeah, but... I will take it. You're better at artists than me. Yeah, it was that guy. That's one.
I know that Snyder's been getting some great artists, and it feels like, I don't know if he has any say in this necessarily, or if it's more editorial kind of pushing him towards certain people, but if it is him, he has great taste in pairing his work often with artists. I liked his work with Capullo on Batman. I also loved the fact that he worked with Jock before, and then he used Jock for Witches, because it's a perfect pairing for that style. So it's good. It's very good.
Also, to answer your question, yes, 13 is the finale of Nemesis Project. 14 will be the finale of the book overall.
Ooh, all right, very cool.
It remains slated the finale for September 13th.
Okay. All right, awesome. Well, there you go, guys. That was All-Star Batman number 12. Not too much occurred, but...
not really.
Still, it's happening.
Yes, it is. I mean, it wasn't bad, but it's definitely not my favorite Scott Snyder Batman story. It was fine. It's the middle child of this storyline for sure.
All right, very cool. All right, guys, back over to Marvel. Infamous Iron Man came out this week. This is a book I got on board thanks to Sal, because of the fact that he really likes it, and I really started to enjoy it as well, even if we saw a bizarre Tony Stark Doctor Strange, which is just like, oh yeah, you're Sorcerer Supreme, Mr. Science Man. Yeah, okay.
With his movie Eye of Agamotto.
Yeah, with all that going on there. But in this issue, of course, I should say last issue, Dune have a run-in with his mom. Yay! Yeah. Don't we all love family reunions? Or she broke him out of S.H.I.E.L.D. because they were all hanging on to him. Because he gave himself up, essentially, in a way, because he passed out. But anyway, now, we get to see a little Doom, essentially. Like, little boy Doom with his mom.
Little Babby Doom.
Little Doom, she's cute. They're in the woods. And she essentially she's doing like a spell or a summoning of sorts, and he comes upon her, and he's like, so what's all this? She's like, well, people in the village call me witch or whatever, but, like, really, like, I'm dealing with things that are, like, above and beyond them, and they're all, like, they're dullards, and we're beyond that. And I'm like, oh, I see, it's a family trait, the ego.
Yeah. It's passed down genetically, don't you know?
Somehow. You know what, though? That has so much power, Doom's ego, I could totally see that being passed on. Like, he would somehow make another chromosome that has that. It's the ego chromosome. Anyway, while she's out there in the woods, she's trying to summon this demon, and she needs him to slay a rabbit. And he's just like, he doesn't want to kill the bunny because it's cute and he's little. He's a little Doom.
Is it a Vorpal rabbit?
No, it's just a regular rabbit. It's just a cute little white bunny that looks terrified, and he can't do it. And she calls him a coward, and like he's like struck by this, and he wakes up, and he's just like he's in her like sanctum. Ooh. I'm just calling it that because that's what I assume all magical people call those things. But essentially he wants to know where they are. She's really roundabout about giving him an answer. And then essentially she's like, we're in a place between places. Then she mentions that this is like where they are used to be essentially the multiverse.
Oh.
But now there's nothing there. So that's where they are. And I was like,
that seems really important.
Right? Also interesting because I think she calls it a tear. Now I have to find out for certain. She calls it the tear, which I was like, is that what's going on in Spider-Man? Are they accessing the tear?
Is that what's going on in Ultimates right now? Everyone was barking up my tree this week saying, oh, you got to talk about Ultimates, because apparently they would seek to imply that, yes, the Ultimate Universe is coming back, or at least a few characters survived.
Interesting. Okay, so I wonder if they're just floating around in there, because she has an entire, like, space there, and, like, it's decorated. Now, whether or not that's in the mindscape and it's what she's forming it to look like, I don't know. But I thought that was kind of interesting that they referenced that. Doom doesn't really seem struck by that either. He's just like, yeah, okay, whatever.
Imagine if this has been Bendis's giant long game all this time through Defenders and Infamous Iron Man and all this other stuff he's writing where it's like, no, guys, but I'm going to bring the Ultimate Universe back.
Exactly. He's like, Nick Spencer, you do whatever you want over there with your Hydras and your Captain Americas and your whatever. I know what the people want, okay?
and they want the universe I made and masterminded.
Exactly. I'm great. Anyway.
Even though people only really liked Ultimate Spider-Man and he's in the main universe, so you know.
Right? Exactly. That's pretty
Maybe
much...
just concentrate on making the Miles book really good, whatever.
Nah. No time. I'm bringing back the Ultimate Universe.
I want my universe back with my toys that I got to play with.
Exactly. Pretty much. So, back on the S.H.I.E.L.D. helicarrier that was brought down essentially by Doom's mom, Sharon Carter calls the thing and she's like, hey, I need you to go get Doom. Like, you're right about this whole thing. You have to get Doom. I don't care what it takes. You have to go get him. Whatever it takes. It's your job now. Okay? So the thing goes off to, I think Latveria, because essentially he's like, it always comes back here. It's always here. And like, he's like exploring and there's like a castle and all this stuff and there's like the ruins and there's this child there and I think it's a girl. It's kind of difficult to tell, but I think it's a girl. And she's like looking for stuff to sell and like, you know, he ends up mentioning like what Doom did to this place and how like it sucks. And she's like, seriously? Like, I really wish Victor Von Doom would come back. Like, I really, really wish he would. And he's like, are you out of your mind? And she's like, no, seriously, like, he was really good to us. He kept us safe, and he took care of us. And, like, the thing is dumbfounded. He's like, huh. So
he may have been a horrible dictator, but he kept the trains running on time.
Exactly, but infrastructure. And while the thing's, like, skulking around, and, like, he's, like, doing, like, a total, like, it's, like, detective thing. And I love that. Like, he's, like, looking around for clues and stuff to figure out what's going on. And he's in Doom's castle, and on the wall he finds a photograph. And the photo is of like of the Thing when he was human, and Reed and Doom. And
Aww.
he's just like, why the hell? Like, he's got a picture of this, and why would he frame it? And like, he's like starting to question like if Doom is actually potentially not such a bad guy.
It was 2 for 1 at the frame store. Doom loves a bargain.
Exactly. He just had 2 photos. He only wanted to frame the one, but yeah, he threw the other one in there.
It's not because I like you or anything.
Exactly. Sniff. But anyway, Doom is off with his mom, and he's essentially like, I really feel like you have a lot of magic that you're more aware of than I am, and I really wish you could tell me about that, and maybe you could teach me a little bit. And she's like, I sure do. So she starts like teaching him like some magic, and essentially she's trying to like prove to him that he's safe, and she keeps mentioning that. Like, she's like, you're totally safe here, because like, he ends up putting his armor back on. She's like, you really don't need that. And he's like,
I feel like I do, though.
I feel like the more you say that, the more like I feel like I do. She's like trying to get him to read out of a specific book, and she's like showing him this one spell. It's like energy transference, and he's just like, is there no like payment for that? Essentially, like upholding the Doctor Strange, like there's a cost to magic thing. She's like, nah, it's fine. It's just a transference. It's totally cool. And he's like, okay. And then later on, like they're kind of working together, and it's like a mother and son sort of moment, and like he's just like, this is really nice. And then he goes like, it's really a far cry from when we were slaughtering baby frogs in the woods. And she's just like, I was just thinking the same thing. And then he looks at her because it wasn't frogs.
Oh, he got her.
It's just like,
Caught him in the lie.
Yeah, pretty much. And then she's like, I really couldn't help myself, but whatever. And then you hear a voice going like, I really don't know why you brought him here, because like the plan was pretty clear. And then like from a magical cloud, we see, the false Reed, or
right,
whoever we obviously know who it is.
But probably the Maker, because they keep putting him on all the covers with his dumb headpiece. The bigger question is, how did the Maker get rid of his big dumb headpiece?
Right? I don't know.
But which, again, where's the Maker from? The Ultimate Universe.
Yeah, the Tear. She probably found him there.
I like this. We're pulling it all together.
It's all coming together. But then, of course, Doom ends up in the iron suit, like, falling out of the sky. Like, there's this huge, like, crackle of energy, and he falls out of the sky, and, like, the Thing is there in Latveria, and that's where he lands, of course, because it all comes back to Latveria.
Always.
And, like, the Thing's like, what the hell is going on? And Doom's like, you have to get out of here. If you are who you say you are, you have to get out of here. And that's how they end it. And I was like, he's doing a really good job of like creating this mystery, and if the payoff in the end isn't worth all this time, then it's gonna be really disappointing, because it's like,
will it ever?
Right? Because it's like he seems to be really doing something with these characters, and like I'm fascinated by the idea of a Doom who thinks that he's doing good and like really is trying to rid the world of like people like Hydra and AIM and stuff like that, but like doesn't understand that there's more to being good than just getting rid of certain things.
Other bad guys,
yeah. Exactly. So, like, I find that to be really cool, and now they're creating so much more depth to this character, of course, dealing with his mother, like, not trying to save her, like, putting them, like, essentially at odds with one another. I think that's kind of cool, but, like, I just hope he can pull it off.
And I mean, too, we probably will see a resolution to this story, because it seemingly would seem, because of the Marvel Legacy solicitations, this one is coming to an end, yes. And the Doctor Doom book will be fusing with the Riri Invincible Iron Man book, and you'll just have one book for Iron Man now.
Exactly. So, like, hopefully, like, he won't rush a ending to this, and it'll just come and be like totally natural and be like, yep, here's the ending, it's fine, this is how I wanted it to be, not like, well, now I'm gonna pout about it because I didn't get to do the ending I wanted to do.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens, but I'm hoping it's good and worth it. So there you go.
That'd be nice.
So all right, guys, we actually only have 2 more books for this week. So one of them is a little bigger than the other one. So actually I'm going to switch it up, Joel. I'm going to do the smaller book first, and then we'll end it on the big one. So this week we saw the return of Doom Patrol.
Yes.
Yay. I had to tell you, like, I honestly started reading that series because of doing the DC fans videos, but like
great people.
Yeah, very nice people. But when it went on break, because initially it sounded like it was done, because they weren't sure when it was coming back.
Same with my Justice League Power Rangers from Tom Taylor. They hit a bit of a thing of like, yeah, it'll finish, just not now.
Right. No, like they were like, it's going. We'll see. And then that was it. I didn't know. And like, luckily, it turns out it's a very much like a season break, much like Saga does, which kills me, but B, I think creates a fantastic product because it gives the creative team some time to recharge and come back strong.
Which they need.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And this was great. I had such a good time with this book. I really like what Gerard Way is doing with the Doom Patrol team. This one is interesting because it's like kind of the start of a new arc, but also kind of like an interesting, like, here's kind of a fun in-between kind of story. Here we go. Where, like, we deal with the Chief and, like, you know, Niles Calder, who's been popping up in the other issues. Yes. And, like, he finally pops up stalking Robot Man and Negative Man at the mall. And Robot Man's like, all right, enough. He, like, grabs
I love
him. Robot
Man.
And, like Cliff, or, the Chief's like, hey, I was thinking I should lead Doom Patrol again. And Robot Man's like, no. That's not like happening. Literally the worst idea ever. You pretty much caused all of us to be freaks. No.
Yeah.
And Negative Man's like, yeah, I know, probably not a good idea, but, you know, let's hear him out. And he's just like, I was just thinking maybe, you know, it'd be kind of cool because, you know, like, I'm ready to take control of it again. It's going to be totally different and all that, right? And they're like, And then we cut to them meeting with Casey Brink, who's, of course, our ride-along character, the new character that was developed throughout the last arc.
Our POV character.
Yeah, exactly. She's hanging up posters for trying to find her lost cat, who, of course, was turned into a cat person in the last arc by a spaceman.
It happens.
It does, especially in this book. And they're like, hey, we're going to give this a shot with him, even though he's kind of a jerk. And he's just like, hey, it looks like you're missing a leg. I can fix that. So then they talk with Crazy Jane, who's like, no. I just had, like, a bout with a really evil, horrible personality that I have. I'm not going to deal with Niles Calder right now. And you're crazy to do so, too. So she and Danny are out, essentially. It's just going to be Negative Man and Robot Man and Casey. So they go to Niles' lab, and he takes Robot Man, and he transfers him to a new body, which looks like his original body.
Oh, nice.
And then he takes Negative Man, and he gives him, like, the new wrappings that are, like, his old wrappings. And
funny how that works.
And then he takes this paste, and he, like, puts it on Casey's, like, the end of her leg, and it grows a new leg. And he's like, just take these pills, you'll be fine. And then he's like, oh, also put this on. And it's Elastigirl's old uniform. And it's, like, really creepy, because he's just like, we're all back now. Like, okay.
That's funny. Elastigirl is back, but not in Young Animal. It's in Dark Matter universe she's going to be now.
Right,
Or no, Phantom mix that up.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, she's better off there than dealing with Niles Calder, who's just, like, a creep show and a half. So they go on an adventure where, like, he's like, no, we gotta go to this place because, like, there are these things called scants, and there are things that, like, exist, like, in the behind us kind of thing, and they put bad ideas into people's brains, and then they feed off of the byproducts of those. And, like,
so they're Phaetons from Scientology?
Yeah, kind of. So then they go to the Scantoverse to deal with that, and while they're there, there's a bunch of other people there, and he's like, aha! Like, Niles is like, we have to stop them, they're trying to steal blah, blah, blah. And the other group's like, Niles Calder, you son of a bitch. Like, so it turns out, like, literally Niles had a debt that he had to pay.
Oh, shit.
So he was trying to get all of this, like, byproduct from the Scantoverse to pay for it. So he was trying to use the Doom Patrol to do that. So...
Nice.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, they all go back, and Casey's leg disappears. Like, it, like, unmakes itself, essentially, and he's like...
Shoddy workmanship.
He's like, oh, yeah, by the way, the only way you can keep that is by taking the pills, and I'll be happy to provide you with those, you know, as long as you're, you know, with me. And she's like, I'm good. And Robot Man's like, yeah, put me back in my regular body. And Negative Man's like, I am out. So they all go back to how they were, and they pretty much are just like, screw you, you suck. And then it's amazing, because we go from being, like, super creepy to being kind of feeling bad for Niles Calder, because he's just like, he essentially seemingly wanted to change, but is incapable of doing it.
And he's literally stuck in the past.
He is. And what's amazing is they got Mike Allred to do the art for this issue.
Oh, really?
So it has that super cool 60s feel to it on top of it. So just a really well thought out issue. Of course, Gerard Way takes mental illness to be very serious, and he tries to inject that a little bit into some of the it's just a lot of his books and a lot of his stories in general. We've seen it here and there. It's usually done really well. Again, this I think is kind of part of it. You know, people who desperately wish to change, because change is hard. We all know that as human beings, and we all deal with it differently. But I thought that was kind of cool, and it really leaves it up to interpretation. So there you go, guys.
Here's my question. Now that we know the Young Animal universe will be crossing over with the DC universe at some point in the future, do you think we'll ever get to see a Doom Patrol meets Beast Boy storyline where they can kind of address that? Where it's like, hey, didn't you used to be Changeling? Didn't you used to hang out with us?
I think that could absolutely work, because Robot Man and Negative Man are definitely the originals. Like, so yes, that could absolutely work. Like, Casey would have no idea, and Crazy Jane might, but I don't know. But like, I think that would be awesome. And again, Niles is still around, so they could still address it with him as well.
We purposely rewrote your memories for your own protection, Gar.
Right. So we'll see. I think that would be a really smart way to do it in general. I'm trying to figure out who else they could team up with, honestly, or meet that would make any sense. But like, so like, if they don't do that, I feel like it's kind of a waste.
I mean, eventually we're probably going to have to see the Brain and Monsieur Mallah at some point as well.
I was going to say also, if they wanted to just do totally random, the sort of zany wackiness that goes on, I would love to see Harley Quinn have to deal with what the Doom Patrol has to deal with.
Nah.
Like the idea of, like, you know, Danny the Street being Danny the Brick, being Danny Land inside of an ambulance. You know what I mean? Like, I think she might fit in really well, and really like Crazy Jane.
Yeah. So. Or have a thing like, I thought I was crazy, but I'm like quirky comedy crazy. You're like legitimately like Lifetime movie crazy.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm excited that Doom Patrol's back. I think it's one of the best out of the Young Animal books that's out there. So there you go.
Yeah.
So now for our big ending book. This is, I gotta tell you, this one's all Joel. I did read it and I caught up. I read the last issue.
Oh, awesome.
And now I read this issue, so I'm all caught up. Because we had like 2 weeks in a row of Secret Empire, which is crazy.
Yeah, we're almost there. We're 7 of 10 now.
I know. Like, I'm just like, wow, we're just like rolling through this at breakneck speeds. Still each issue being anywhere between like 36 and 38 pages long, just really dense tomes that you're buying.
And yet I think you would agree with me that the last 2 issues, especially this one, number 7, were much more focused than the past couple issues. They kind of picked a track and ran with it.
They did, and I kind of appreciated that. Like, while I, like, you know, like, cool, fun, like, we're, like, doing all kinds of things, and, like, we got all these plot threads going on, I really appreciate that they're, like, trying to hone this to a point.
Yes.
Because we really needed that.
We did. You know, it was a slow burn. They had, like, the story up in space, the story under the dome, the story with the champions and Black Widow, which is the story that gets the major focus this issue. After the destruction of the Mount, Natasha assumes, well, all the heroes are dead. We're the last hope of humanity to rescue them from Hydra. Time to move up our assassination timetable. Cap will be having a big meeting with Hydra in the Capitol. He's reopening the White House, and he's also taking oaths of fealty from members of Congress like he's a freaking king.
I know. Like, what's up with that?
And what do they get in return, these Congress people, for joining him and swearing allegiance? They get to not be prisoners anymore.
Yeah, they get to, but in a way they still are, but, you know, but not in an actual cell. So that's cool.
I love this idea. Hydra's like, no, you need to further legitimize our takeover.
Yeah, like, I don't know how much more I can take over.
We need to take over all the way.
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't know we were going all the way. Well,
all the way tonight.
And then Meatloaf comes out.
And then Meatloaf, paradise by the dashboard light. Now there's the Marvel character we need, Meatloaf, to come and save the day through the power of rock opera.
I'm pretty sure that's how this is going to end up, but like, I don't want to ruin it, but that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, so the other big part that is kind of involved, issue 6 and issue 7, which made me appreciate why they had both issues back to back. It's in many ways the Ballad of Miles Morales. We've already seen one of Ulysses' predictions come true, what with the Hulk killing all the heroes who turned out to be robots, which was kind of a cool deep pull for Nick Spencer, because he set up those robots way before Civil War II.
Yeah.
And then to use them.
Yeah, it's good.
Miles fears, but he's also ready to be like, here's me going to meet my destiny. I don't know how this is going to end, but I'm ready to see it through so I'm not tortured by it anymore. Black Widow, who's gotten to know Miles pretty well over the last couple months they've been working together, says, you know what? Destiny be damned. I'm not going to let you become a killer like me. And she locks him in the battle van.
Yeah. You stay here and guard the base is what happens to Miles.
Basically. And she's like, look, I'm going to go handle this on my own. And it leads to maybe one of the coolest one-on-one fights they've had in the series so far. Black Widow versus Hydra Punisher.
That was amazing. Like, that really was. Even if I'm not necessarily a fan of, like, Drank the Kool-Aid Frank Castle, like, that was such a great fight.
I think the line that Frank says that really, kind of shredded me is where he says, even before the war, it's not like we were on the same side or anything. And I'm like, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, Frank's on his own side.
He's always been on his own side. And Natasha says, what did he promise you? What did Steve say he would give you? And his reasoning is both believable and, again, also really sad, where he's like, Captain America, he gave me an army to fight my war on crime. He gave me a chance at peace that, you heroes never did with your half measures. And he said that if we get the Cosmic Cube, he can bring everyone back to life, whoever died. That's assuming probably his family, too.
I assume that. And here's the thing. That's what he should have led with. Because, like, that's what I buy the most. You know what I mean? Like, I find it difficult to imagine, personally, Frank Castle Punisher relying on an army to do his work. You know what I mean? Like, it always felt to me like a personal vendetta against crime.
Yeah.
And then to transfer that to someone else seems weird. But
he is the soldier at heart is the thing, too, and he only ever felt at home in the army. And now that, like, Captain America, an actual military man, is giving him a pat on the back and saying, good job, Frank.
Right. But again, for me, if he had led with, like, or even mentioned specifically his family, like, I get that. But then again, that undoes his purpose in a sense.
A little bit, and some people have been smart enough to mention, too, where it's like, well, hasn't Frank Castle met, like, gods and gone to the gates of heaven before and said, no, I wouldn't want my family back because I wouldn't want them to, A, see what I have become, and B, don't want them to, see this hell that is Earth currently. And I'm like, yeah, you're not wrong about that. The thing I always fall back on, and the thing I think Spencer is falling back on, is you can't trust what the Punisher says because the Punisher is a crazy person.
Right.
He doesn't even know what he wants. And again, too, with, the kind of political parallels that are being drawn here, Frank Castle and Deadpool, if you've been reading the really great Deadpool tie-in, they are to represent the people who know better, but go along with the evil totalitarian regime anyway.
Right.
Because they feel they're getting something out of it, or it's kind of like, everyone else be damned, I only care about myself type deal, or me and mine. I'm not saying it's perfect, but I thought it led to a really cool fight.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
And Punisher gets his legs taken out pretty hard, too. I wonder, is that why he needs the War Machine suit in Legacy?
Oh, that's a good point. And I gotta tell you, like, I know not the last issue, but really the issue before that, I felt like Sorrentino's art was like, but this one was great.
So many amazing, like, poster quality shots, like the bunch of panels of them fighting, and even the one at the very end.
Yeah, like, I felt like I was like, oh man, we're back.
yeah, he kicked in the turbos on this one.
More of this.
We also get the question answered of who the hell was that old guy, and I gotta say, didn't see that twist coming.
No, I didn't either, not at all.
It was Mosaic, the Inhuman, who they pushed really hard for a minute, then forgot about, the guy who has the power to jump into people's bodies and take them over.
Yep.
He takes over the Hydra guards and gets them to all shoot each other so our heroes can swoop on in, which many people in my comment section were quick to say, if he could jump into people's bodies, why didn't he
jump into Captain America's?
Make him kill himself or make him disband Hydra, or why didn't he jump into the body of Dr. Faustus and get him to undo the mind control of all the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents that are under his control? Furthermore, all those Hydra guys who shot themselves, those were OG Hydra guys, right? Not just brainwashed S.H.I.E.L.D. agents who changed their uniforms.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they were, because it's convenient and easy.
It's one of those things where it's like, I liked the surprise with Mosaic, but damn do I ask a million more questions now that he's involved.
Yeah.
Also, it's clear the champions and the good guys were all arrested at the end of this story. Where did Mosaic go?
Right? I guessing he's just out and about. I guess.
I guess.
I don't. Maybe that's how they'll get out.
Yeah, maybe that's how they'll get out. Maybe he'll go to the Secret Warriors book and be like, well, fuck all you humans. I gotta go save my Inhumans who are in literal concentration camps right now.
That could easily be. It could be. Or maybe he's like the Ghost Army in the Lord of the Rings movies. Not the book, just the movies.
A big pirate ship rolls up and Mosaic jumps
I just want to say just the movies very specifically, where they just roll up and then it's like, yeah, bye.
But yeah, so we get the big climactic showdown between Miles and Steve. Him too being very much like an air of destiny about him, where it's like, if I overcome this moment, I can overcome anything. I will defy fate itself.
Yeah, which is like interesting because it's cool to see Spencer playing ball with what happened in Civil War II. Which is
didn't
like,
have to.
You really didn't, man. You really didn't.
You're a trooper.
We all could have been like, yeah, that happened. Now let's not talk about it anymore.
Even the stuff with Captain Marvel at the beginning of the book where she blames herself for the Secret Empire, saying if I didn't fracture the superhero community, Hydra could never have come to power. And I'm like, man, again, didn't have to go there. Thank you for trying to rehab Carol's character a little bit.
Right? And I'm kind of honestly interested to see what Bendis' reaction overall to however this ends. Because it's like, it could be like, hey, thanks for playing ball with me. Or it could be like, he could be angry about him like doing a better job legitimizing his mess.
Also, the chat is answering there. Mosaic has an easier time jumping into weaker, unsuspecting minds. The people we all mentioned were more powerful, and they were the ones who locked him away in the first place, so they were probably ready for him.
Well, only if they knew he was out and about.
That's true.
Like, if they saw it coming. How about this? They could have jumped into the brain of the Punisher.
Oh, that's it. I have a series of psychic blocks up in my mind to keep you out.
Exactly.
But it's during this big climactic showdown between Spider-Man and Captain America. Black Widow heroically jumps on in to try and save Miles and stop the fight. She ends up catching an errant shield blow to the neck, and Sorrentino does this so well, where he does the Fight Club cam to see her neck breaking.
Yep. I gotta tell you that elicited an actual gasp from me because I didn't see that coming.
No, I didn't think they'd kill her off either. And here's the other thing. I noticed I actually did something I never do. I actually went out of my way and read other websites' review. And I feel a lot of them miss this point. And that is that when Cap does this, he feels shocked and horrified because up until now, he's never had to get his hands dirty with a friend. Yes, he killed Rick, but he had a firing squad do that and felt bad about it. Bucky died, but it was Zemo who did that, not him. He never had to put his hands on it, never had to see it. And he's so shocked and disgusted by what he did. Miles got to, basically get a couple free good shots in on him.
Yeah, he goes for it. And for a second, I'm like, we've got too many issues left for this to actually come to fruition where he completes it. Which, of course, he does not. He does not complete the vision.
He doesn't. He says, I will honor the memory of Natasha Romanoff. I won't be a killer. I won't be like you. Which, of course, again, led to much spirited discussion in my comment section for this video, where it's like, it's that old chestnut, if you could go back in time and kill Hitler, would you? I mean, murder's wrong, but would you kill Hitler?
Yeah, no, I understand. Now, for me, like, my biggest issue, I think, with this issue was Miles being like, no matter what I say, that'll be the password to get out of the van. I was like, come on, be clever. Don't just be like, nah, it's fine. Ulysses, space, universe guy says it's cool. Like, no.
Time, fate, destiny, all leading to this moment.
Yeah, I that was the one, the big thing for me. I was like, come on.
And it's where this comic ends that we end up leading into the Captain America book, where Steve is basically sitting around and being like, Sharon, I think I'm the bad guy. Am I the bad guy? I might be the bad. And then Sharon tries to shiv him in the throat. Exactly. Oh my God, I'm the bad guy.
Yeah, exactly. Or he's just like, for a second, he's like, no, wait, you're the bad guy. You tried to kill me. Yeah, okay. Feeling good about myself.
And he's like, I bring everyone together tomorrow. I declare war. To which I'm like, well, declare war on who? You think the heroes are dead and you locked up the last. Who are you declaring war on?
Right?
The rest of the world? What? Is this like the war on drugs or the war on illiteracy? Is this just an empty war that you're kicking up?
Right. I don't know. Now, like, I have no idea. Maybe it's a war on freedoms. I have no idea. But I don't know. Like, I'm interested to see where this is going, and I'm interested to see if we'll be able to pinpoint where we think at the end of this where they extended things.
They're slowly whittling down the red herring. So it's like, okay, old guy wasn't backup Captain America. That's one less thing for you.
Mm-hmm.
We still got Dream Cap as well, who kind of sees a little bit more of his story. He kind of finds his fighting spirit and fights Dream Red Skull. And we see the mysterious Lady of the Lake, who looks a lot like Sharon, but maybe not.
Maybe they're in the tear.
Oh, shit, man. If that's where they went with it, man, I don't know.
That's not a thing. It's not a thing.
You're in the space between spaces.
Yeah, the place between places. That's what she says. I was like, yeah.
But it makes me think of Kingdom of the Crystal Skull when they ask where did the aliens go to the space between spaces.
That's right. You're like, get out of here with your stupid skull movie.
Yeah, get out of here, Indiana Jones. You didn't happen.
Steven Spielberg, you're drunk. Go home.
Go
with you.
Come on. But yeah, I overall I quite enjoyed this one. I especially enjoyed the final page where, it's the hero slinking away from the mount, tails between their legs, being like, and it's at times when things are their darkest that a hero's mettle is truly tested. We needed a champion. We needed hope. We needed Captain America. And we see Sam has put the costume back on again and is wielding the shield, the original shield, once again, for all to see. And if you read the Sam book this week, basically it's a whole story of him trying the costume on, being like, no, it's not right. Okay, maybe again. No, okay, no, they do need me. They actually need me. And him getting a bunch of pep talks and eventually deciding that, you know what, I ran from this mantle originally. It's time for me to take it up again when people need it most, even though we know by reading the legacy solicitations he goes back to being Falcon anyway, but...
Yeah, no, and that's unfortunate, but, like, it still was an amazing moment that was really well rendered, and, like, I immediately, I didn't think about that, the fact that it wasn't going to last for him, like, but for me, like, in this moment, like, in the moment of reading it, I was like, that is really cool, and honestly, at the end of the day, like, when this is collected in trade, regardless of, like, if people end up continuing reading, it's still going to be an awesome moment.
I think it's a poetic gesture, and I think it's also, like, Sam's last ride as Captain America. Can he redeem the suit a little bit? Can he, like, redeem his time and do something that matters? And in fact, the next Sam Wilson tie-in, what does it say? 2 caps, 2 shields, no quarter.
That was almost a 2 girls, 1 cup.
I know it was almost 2 superheroes.
This seems really inappropriate for the tone of these books.
Little bit. It's just a bunch of weird viral videos collected.
Yeah. I mean, overall, like, this issue, again, like you mentioned earlier, is definitely more focused, which is good. Like, this is... At the end of the day, I think it's only when we'll be able to tell whether or not this was a good event or not. It's just, right now it feels like it's been a slog a little bit, and I'm always happy when we have issues like this in the previous issue where we're getting a little bit more overall story development without, like, just being so, like, cloak and dagger about things. You know what I mean? Like, ironically enough, they were in the last issue, too.
Featured quite prominently cloak and dagger.
Exactly. Didn't even mean to do that. So, we have 3 more issues to go, plus the Omega issue. We'll see how it all goes. And at the end of the day, if anybody even remembers it, with Marvel Legacy coming and being seemingly very similar to what we have now.
That's the harshest part with it all being close together, It could be a great ending, and FYI, I've been loving it up until this point. I was a strong champion of Spencer's Captain America run in general. I like that it's all building up to this, but you're right. Could all be swept away by this ending. We don't even know yet.
Yeah, exactly.
In fact, they seek to imply that it's back to business as usual once this is done in all the other books.
Right? Yeah, I know. So we'll see how it goes. And like, honestly, like, we'll see what changes are made that are drastic or not, and if, like, Marvel going forward will pay attention to any of those, or they'll just be like, it happened, it's fine.
This just hit me too, and this kind of leads into my theory I have for how they're going to wrap it up. So Elsa died too. She died in that explosion.
Mm-hmm.
that's really weird to me because I've been saying forever she's the real villain. She was the one who's been grooming Steve. She'll be the final boss. Steve will get his big
Well,
return to hero moment when he fights
how
her.
about this? No body.
That too.
No body, no
Classic.
death. That's how I treat bugs, too, by the way.
Also, hey, here's one. I don't know if the Sam book addressed it, but the two pieces of the cosmic cube that they were after, that they wanted, that the heroes had, who has it? Cap didn't say he has them.
Right?
He didn't.
He did at the end, but then because of the explosion and her banishing him, we don't know. Like, he could have dropped them. He might have them. So I guess...
Did Elsa pick them up? Because again, she only exists because of the cosmic cube and because of Kobek. Is this her big play of being like, whatever happens, I want to continue existing?
That could be.
If you put everything back, I get deleted, and I'm not gonna have that. That's what I was looking at. And my other theory I had, maybe they get the cubes together, maybe Steve gets back to himself, or one of the other heroes gets back to himself long enough to be like, okay, put everything back. But as we know with the villains who Kobik manipulated back in Pleasant Hill, even when you get put back to normal, the memories of what happened still stay with you.
Yeah.
Of the other life you lived. So I can imagine the Mark Waid Cap book, him trying to justify and, reconcile this fake existence with his real existence.
To be fair, if that's how it all ends up going, to be fair, at the end of this, Cap should really be arrested as a
little bit. Little bit.
We'll see how that goes.
It's a work release program with S.H.I.E.L.D.
It's gonna be a Cap book where he's on the side of the road picking up trash.
Look, Steve, we're glad you got back to yourself. We're glad you put it all back in order and everything. But 10 million hours community service for you, sir.
Yeah, right. The super soldier serum, that should sustain you for some of that, at least. Right? Yeah, it'll be fine.
You got a good chance. you got a good chance to finish off this.
Exactly. Well, there you go, guys. Like I said, this is kind of a shorter week for us because, again, we had intended on having a guest, but unfortunately they canceled on us. So
still talked for over an hour.
We sure did. We would have had more books, but we still made it work anyway. So hooray! Yay! Yeah. So, guys, don't forget that if you want to hang out with us some more, you can find Joel over on Twitter at Cape Joel, and you can find me over on Twitter at The Real Zoobs. And don't forget to come back every Tuesday for the weekly poll where we talk about, pop culture and news and comic book news and all kinds of things over there. Sometimes we talk about movies that came out or, whatever is on the docket for the day, and it's awesome. And don't forget to come back every Thursday where we talk about the comics that came out each week. And sometimes we have guests. And otherwise, it's just us, and we have a good time anyway.
Yeah.
But there's also some podcast awards. Is that not correct?
Yes. There most certainly is. We're getting down to the wire on this one now. You have till the end of the month. You have till the 31st to go over to thepodcastawards.com, make an account. All you need is a valid email, and be sure to vote for The Pull, aka the show you're watching right now, The Weekly Pull, and sister show The Elseworlds Exchange. We're all nominated in a series of different categories, not competing with one another, I should note, so you can vote for everyone. And we would appreciate it if you did. And if you voted already, now that we're getting down to crunch time, get your younger siblings to vote for us. Get grandma to vote for us. Get that homeless guy on the street to vote for us. Just give him some change and be like, hey, got a valid email, vote for these guys.
Exactly. So there you go, guys. Thanks for hanging out with us, and we will see you guys next time. Bye. But hang on before we go, because that way technically we've ended it, and I know we don't really talk about personal stuff on here, but I do want to, the door just opened while I'm talking. It's magic. A fan of ours created a video that says goodbye to the Comic Pop Couch.
I saw that.
If you want to see that video, go over to my Twitter. I posted it there. He did a really great job with it, and honestly made me feel really badly about it.
He said it to that Fast and the Furious song, which is funny, because when Sal and I had Elseworlds Exchange yesterday, I jokingly said to him, oh, you should make a sad, black and white video of the couch and set it to, I will remember you. So this guy just updated the reference.
Yes, exactly. I loved it. It's so great. I thought it was really nice. So I just wanted to give credit to that because I thought it was, again, really well done. And just very nice. And for my Twitter, it's at The Real Zoobs. It's actually underneath my face right here. It's down there. See it? Bink.
Words.
All right, guys. Have a great night and an awesome weekend. And we'll see you guys next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.